Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, Salakia Watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts. And another cold cut, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Wamalak Yabushai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai on another beautiful Shabbat, coming right off the new moon, entering into that second month. So shalom to Yvette McKellar, Don Israel Tamid, Nashayahu Yasharel, Sweet Styles Naturals, Yashayahu, Yahweh, Nigel Blends, Brother Azariah Shalom King, Hoshaya Servant, HBK Lent, Verdon Brody, Yashab Rael, Aka Rectitude, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. The Gates of Hell, Terrorism, right? That is the name of the lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. The Gates of Hell, Terrorism. We're going to dive into some events, current events, some prophecy that the Most High is showing in the last days. We're going to dive into the counsels of these devils and different things that are being put into place. We're going to go into the gates of hell. What does that mean? Where is that coming from? And our Most High willing, we're going to dive right into it through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai. Now, let's go to Matthew. Right, let's go to Matthew, the 16th chapter. Where is that coming from? Right, where is that coming from? Right, let's go to Matthew chapter 16, and we're going to start at verse number 13. Right, we're going to start at Matthew chapter 16 to 13 through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, because as we approach the return of our Lord, Yahweh Shai, as we approach Jacob's trouble, as we approach the end of the world, the chariots flying, beaming us up, the nuclear missiles falling on the earth, the chariots destroying by means of concentrated fire, all these high and lofty places, as we approach these days of trouble and days of salvation at the same time, we have to understand what we're getting involved in. A lot of brothers and sisters may not truly understand the severity, for lack of better terms, of this truth, and what the Most High has in store for those who say that they love him, for those who know that they're Israelites, for those that are in his truth. So we want to touch on these things that the Most High said will come to pass, how it's directly going to affect us. When I say us that believe in this truth, how it's going to affect the ministry, how we're able to access knowledge, gain this information. A lot of things are going to be taken away from us. So we want to be able to warn our people about the dangers that are coming on the earth and how it's going to affect this ministry and your ability to be able to receive the words of the Lord. So let's start with Matthew 16 and 13, right? It reads, when Yahweh Shai came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they said, some say that thou art John the Baptist, some Elias, and the others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. So there was talk going around. Our fathers knew about regeneration. They knew about the resurrection. And they said the spirit that Yahweh Shai was moving in, they said that's a powerful spirit. That is a bold, fearless spirit. That is the spirit of a leader. That is the spirit of an ancient prophet. That got to be Elijah back on the earth. That was people's conversations. Maybe that's Jeremiah back on the earth, right? Maybe that's John the Baptist. So there was talk going on around, concerning who's the Lord. Is he the Messiah? Is he just a regular man? Is that just a carpenter's son? So Yahweh Shai asked that, right? Let's read on. Verse 15. He saith unto them, but whom say ye that I am? He said, yeah, I hear what everybody else is saying, but what do y'all think? Who am I? And Simon Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And we say, Hamashiach all the time because they mean the same thing, right? Christ is anointed, Messiah is anointed, or Mashiach in the Hebrew is anointed, or Hamashiach is the anointed, right? So Simon Peter, which was the head disciple, the head apostle, he answered and said, thou art the Hamashiach, the Son of the living God. And Yahushua answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. So Yahushua is telling him that the only reason that you're able to bear witness that I'm Yahushua and testify is that the Most High is working on your spirit. A lot of things that are revealed to us is not revealed by flesh and blood. Some matters of the scriptures are revealed by flesh and blood, and then there are times where the Spirit sups with you, and the Most High shows you particular precepts or how this chapter links up with this or how this prophecy is going to play out. There's a lot of things that flesh and blood has when it comes to your growth in this truth, and there's a lot of things that flesh and blood cannot do. For Peter to know that Yahushua was the Hamashiach was not something that was of his own studies. It's not something that he was in the Torah looking at and, okay, I was reading the book of Genesis 49 and you got the same red eyes. I was reading the book of Micah, the 5th chapter. You came out of Bethlehem. It's not like he was taught that by scribes and elders and Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? This was something in the spirit that the Most High was working with them on, right? It reads, but my Father which is in heaven. Let me get a quick precept on that. So the Heavenly Father is the one that revealed Yahushua to Peter, just like all the other apostles. John 6:44. No man can come to me except the Father which hath sent me, draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. So in order for Peter to know that Yahushua was indeed a Mashiach, the Heavenly Father had to work on his mind and work on his spirit and draw him and pull him to Yahushua in order to confess those things. You understand? So in order to confess that Yahushua is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, it has to be by the Holy Spirit, right? That's what Yahushua meant when he said, flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. This is Matthew 16:18. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So when he said thou art Peter, the word Peter, right, it means rock. Peter's original name is Simon, right? And his word or his name was actually changed by our Lord Yahushua, right? Here's the word Peter in the Greek, Petros, and it means a rock or a stone, one of the 12 disciples of Yahushua, right? Let me get that in Luke, the 6th chapter, right? Let's go to Luke chapter 6. His name was actually changed by Yahushua. Yahushua had a lot of different titles and or nicknames for the 12. Remember, he even called James and John, he called them the sons of thunder, right? He called them the sons of thunder. He called, Peter, the rock, based off of their spirits. James and John were extremely fiery and zealous, for the Lord. So they were called the sons of thunder. And Peter was the rock. So the Lord set that up in the spirit from the foundation of the world. This is Luke chapter 6 and verse number 12. And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to the Most High. That's heavy. All night in prayer. And when that shows, man, Yahweh's spirit was on a whole nother level. Brothers can even pray for 30 seconds without getting distracted, without your mind going to and fro, let alone all night in prayer to the Most High. Right? Verse 13. And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom also he named apostles. A disciple is a student, an apostle is somebody that has taken the right steps to get the understanding, and now he's sent out. That's what the word apostle means, someone who is sent out. Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor. So Simon was named Peter. Again, that was a name that Yahushua gave him based off of Slakia, based off of his lot, right? His lot, his path, his destiny. He was set up by the Most High, right, to be the head of the church. So let's go back to that, right? Let's go back to this in Luke, Slakia, in Matthew, right? Matthew chapter 16 and 16. Slakia, Matthew 16 and 18. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock, meaning Peter's that rock, I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So the entire church was spearheaded by Peter, right? When it came to making the final decisions, Peter was the top man. You had Peter, then second in command was John, then third in command was James, right? So Peter, John, and James were the top three apostles who had a special relationship with Yahushua. And the Lord chose Peter because the Most High saw something special in Peter, his boldness, his zeal, his love for the Lord, right? Peter had a lot of great and beautiful characteristics about him. He was chosen directly by the Most High. Now, the part we're touching on, it says, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And we're going to touch on that. I want to read this next verse, but we're going to touch on the gates of hell that shall not prevail against it, based off of what's going on in the earth right now concerning anti-Semitism, the so-called Jew, different laws that are being put into action, wicked legislation, hate speech, certain things that they're beginning to do, and laws that they're currently passing, and these world powers and councils that are looking to overthrow the ministry of the apostles and the men of the Lord. But the Lord already gave the decree. He said the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Doesn't mean that they're not going to try. And that's what we're going to touch on. And I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. And whatsoever thou shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So he was given a heavy lot, meaning whatever Peter decreed, then it was done. So if Peter healed a man and says you can enter into life, then that would be done. If Peter wanted to condemn you into destruction, then that also would be done. You can see that play out in Acts the 8th chapter, right? Acts the 5th chapter. Right, here's an example of what Yahushua said, that you have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. Now, you read about the wicked Pharisees and Sadducees who shut up the kingdom of heaven because they were supposed to have the keys to the kingdom of heaven and lead the Israelites into everlasting life, but they were shutting up the kingdom of heaven, locking it up so no one can enter in, and they themselves couldn't enter in. Let me get that first. I didn't plan on going too much into this because we got a lot we got to get into. I say it every week and I mean it, right? This is Matthew 23 and 13. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer ye them that are entering to go in. And they were supposed to be the shepherds, man, leading people by teaching them the laws and the commandments of how to serve the Most High, how to fear the Lord, how to be obedient. So the Lord snatched the keys from these men because they were wicked and ungodly. And the keys were given unto Peter, right? So instead of the kingdom of heaven being shut up, it was opened to those which are the elect, right? The kingdom of heaven was opened by Peter, and he had the ability to bind things on earth, yet people's sins, right? And it would be recorded and honored in heaven. And then if sins were forgiven by the apostles, right, and through miracles and through their work, then the Most High would honor that in heaven. right? That's what it means. But I want to give a quick example of that in Acts, the 5th chapter, right? This Acts, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this is Acts chapter 5 and verse number 9. This is after Ananias and his wife, Seraphia, lied about how much they gave to the church. Everybody sold a certain amount. They kept back part of the price. Word got out by the Most High to the apostles, and this is what the Lord said. This Acts 5 and 9. Then Peter said unto her, how is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Lord? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at thy door, and shall carry thee out. Then she fell down straightway at his feet, and yielded up the ghost. And a young man came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. And great fear came upon all the church, and upon as many as heard these things. So, Peter pretty much through the Spirit killed this couple, man. He took their life from them, and they can't enter into the kingdom. It's over. So whatever Peter did on earth, the Most High recorded and honored and gave him power. And it was honored in the heavens. Whoever Peter saved and they entered into life, then they will be saved and enter into life according to the words of Peter. And this is just one example. All right, let me get another one real quick. I'm not going to get 1,000 accounts, but the key example is Cornelius. Right? We read about Cornelius. This is Acts, and I want to get straight to the point. Acts 10, and let's read. Let's see. Let's start at, I'm going to get straight to the point. All right, Acts 10 and 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that the Most High is no respecter of persons. But in every nation, he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, preaching peace by Yahweh HaMashiach, he is Lord of all. That word I say, yea, no, which was published throughout all Judea and began from Galilee after the baptism which John preached. How the Most High anointed Yahweh of Nazareth with the Holy Ghost and with power, who went about doing good and healing all that were oppressed of the devil, for God was with him. Let me jump to 44. While Peter yet spake these words, the Holy Spirit fell on all them which heard the word. Because Peter, again, was given those keys. And now he was the gateway for even the Israelite foreigners like Cornelius to be able to come in unto everlasting life. Right? This was the power that the Most High gave. That's why Peter was the one set up first to go into the Israelite foreigners and bring them to the church. He had power to take the Spirit from people, right? He had power to give the Spirit to people, right? Let me get one more, right? Just for a third witness, then we'll get back to it. But this is Acts chapter 8, verse number, we'll start at 18. And when Simon saw that through laying on of the apostles' hands, the Holy Spirit was given, he offered them money. So Peter and John went to Samaria, and they were healing and taking care of all these Israelites. You had this wicked man, Simon, who had a demon of covetousness on him. And he said, man, I want that power. So he tried to pay the apostle Peter for spiritual power. Here's what he said, Acts 8 and 19, saying, give me also this power, that on whomsoever I lay hands, he may receive the Holy Spirit. But Peter said unto him, thy money perish with thee, because thou hast thought that the gift of God may be purchased with money. Thou hast neither part nor lot in this matter, for thy heart is not right in the sight of God. He said, you don't have no lot in this matter, right? You're not one of the elect. That's pretty much what he told him. This matter is for the elect, and this is not your lot. Because your mind not right, your spirit not right. So we're showing you that power, that showcasing that power and authority that the apostle Peter had concerning Cornelius and the Israelite foreigners who received the Holy Spirit, the death of Ananias and Sapphira in Acts the 5th chapter, him straight up telling the brother, a wicked man rather, hey, look, that's not your lot. Brothers can't do that, man. Brothers don't have that authority. Here's your lot. Here's where you're going to be. You can make it. No, he didn't. People can't do that now. Right? You can, discern based off of a brother's fruit, his works. But to call it straight up black and white, that was given to Peter. So Peter and the apostles had a lot of power given to them by the Most High. They had the keys to the kingdom of heaven. That's why you read about 3,000 souls being added to the church. The Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. That's in the book of Acts, the 2nd chapter. So they had great authority. Now, the Most High also said, going back to Acts, Matthew 16 and 18, that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Now, during the time of Peter, the gates of hell represented the wicked scribes, the wicked elders, the wicked Pharisees, and the wicked Jews, right? And even higher than that, you had the Roman Empire. So the gates of hell is a group and a council of the wicked that are set up to overthrow the church. Now, a brother might say, no, that's talking about actual hell, because people died, they did evil things, they went up to St. Peter. This is what they believe. A lot of this in Matthew 16 in Christianity, they say Peter has the actual key to heaven. And when you die, you got to appear before Peter. That's not what that's talking about. And then Peter could pull a lever and bring you down to hell. Or he could open up the gate, the great pearly gate, and you get into heaven. It's not in the Bible, man. Let me see if I can get that gate in heaven. None of this is in the scriptures. Look, it says, the image of St. Peter standing at the pearly gates of heaven, acting as a gatekeeper who decides who enters. He had that power on the earth. And we showed that through the Spirit with Acts 5, Acts 8, and Acts 10. Peter had the authority to decide, oh, you're going to make it, oh, that's not your lot. But let's read the rest of this. It's largely a figure of folklore culture, cartoons and jokes, rather than direct scripture. People really believe that, though. Right? Let me see this. Let me see if I can get an example. Look at this. They made cartoons and movies about Peter being at this pearly gate. People actually die and believe they got to check in with an old white man. I got to die. I'm up there. It's a long line. I got a halo. I got wings. Then Peter's sitting up there. Well, let me take out my keys. And he got the big janitor keys. He's fumbling through the keys. All right, you can get in. Peter's not a bouncer in the third heaven. They don't have bouncers in the third heaven. He's not a bodyguard in the third heaven. So we just want to clear up a lot of this confusion. And we're going to break down what this means. He's not this guy with all he pulling your records, man. None of that is in the Bible at all. So leave Christianity alone, right? Stop watching all these movies and stop believing a so-called white man. Ask them to prove that. Tell them to prove this in the Bible. They can't prove this in the Bible, right? So these gates of hell at the time of the apostles were the wicked scribes, wicked elders, wicked Pharisees, the rest of the wicked Jews, and the Roman Empire, right? That was them at the time. But it's not talking about an actual place called hell, and we'll prove that. The gates were where the leaders of a nation sat to make sound decisions, to guide the people, to execute judgment, and to speak wisdom to save and heal the people. Every ancient city had walls, and every ancient city had gates. And only the wise men sat at the gates. Right? Let me get a precept on that. So the gates represent the leadership of a particular nation of people. It was a physical location where they sat and made decisions to guide the people, to execute judgment, to enforce justice. Let's get that in the law. Let's get Deuteronomy, right? Chapter 16. And we'll break down what the gates of hell mean, lest the brother thinks that it's talking about an actual place called hell. We got to come out of this Christianity, man. Your Lord said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is acceptable in the perfect will of God, paraphrasing, right? You want to renew your mind and learn the scriptures as it is written, right? Deuteronomy 16 and 18. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which Yahweh thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge the people with just judgment. So at the gates, the men would appear before the judges and the officers. If this brother stole my ox and I said, that's mine, he said, no, it's mine, we would take that matter before the judge at the gates, and the judge would judge the matter at the gates with just judgment, not like the so-called white man. So the gates was like a courthouse. It was a place for counsel. It was a place for wisdom, dark sayings, parables. You know, that's what the gates represented. So we had gates on the right-hand side, but we made decisions that judged the people according to the laws of the Most High. Esau got gates, but his gates are the gates of hell, right? His decisions and his courtrooms and his wicked counsels are to overthrow the church through wicked laws, to overthrow the saints through imprisonment and murder and injustice. So there's gates on the left-hand side and there's gates on the right-hand side. Well, let's get a few more precepts on the gates, right? Just so brothers understand that. Let's go to Job 29. This is Job chapter 29 and verse number, we'll start at, this whole thing is crazy. Let's start at 5. Let's start at 6. Job 29 and 6. When I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. Right? You know what? Let's start at 1 to get the understanding, right? So Job 29 is a parable about the Israelites during the days of Solomon and in the days of our glory, right? And I said Solomon because that was the chief days of our glory, but it's really about Israel and their heyday, our glory days, right? When we were in our land, when we had rulership, when we had the nations in subjection, when we were in power, right? So this is Job 29 and 1. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through darkness. Right? There was a time when we had light. We had the truth. Before slavery, before wicked philosophies, before indoctrination. We had the knowledge and the laws and the commandments. We spoke the Hebrew. We were well in order. Right? So Job is giving you a time, putting you in a time machine to show you how our glory and power was. You know, then you read the following chapter, you read about how it was taken away by the so-called white man. Job 29 and 4. As I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of the Most High was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me. Yeah, we were in Jerusalem. Jerusalem was inhabited, and the Spirit of the Lord was with us. There was a time when the Most High was with us. Then there was a time when the Most High hid his face from us. Job 29 and 6. When I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil. And washing your steps with butter is you walking in his knowledge. Butter is nothing but milk. So when you enhance and work through milk, you churn milk, it turns into butter. So butter is an elevated form of knowledge, right? Milk is the foundational knowledge. Butter is a little bit more advanced. So we were walking in a higher level of understanding, right? The precepts speak about, quick precept, I believe that's Proverbs 30. I haven't brought this out in a while. The churning of milk bringeth butter, right? Proverbs 30 and 33. Surely the churning of milk bringeth forth butter, and the wringing of the nose bringeth forth blood, so the forcing of wrath bringeth forth strife, right? So milk is the fundamental basics of this truth, and butter is the enhanced form. So when you washed our steps in butter, We were walking in the fear of God. It's a metaphor. It's not literally you walking with butter. And the rock pouring you out oil is the Holy Spirit coming through Yahweh Shema Shai. He is that rock, right? He is the rock that was pouring out oil. Let's go to 2 Samuel 23. So we got to prove all things. 2 Samuel 23 and 3. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me, he that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God. Who is the rock of Israel? Yahweh Shema Shai. So the rock pouring out rivers of oil is the Most High giving us the Spirit. We had the truth. We were bound by the covenant. Job 29 and 7. When I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the streets. Right now, Job on the carnal level was telling you that he was in the gates, right? And he sat in the street. What was Job doing in the gates? The young men saw me and hid themselves. The aged arose and stood up, meaning he was respected. And there was a time when the other nations respected us. There was a time when Solomon could judge these nations, man, and they brought gifts. Jehoshaphat judged these nations, and they brought gifts. Everybody submitted themselves to the kings of Judah. That's what this is really going into. Verse 9, the princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. So when the Israelites were in power, no nation could do a damn thing. We sat under a fig tree for 40 years, eating and drinking and making merry, and everybody bought gifts and bowed down to our kings. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. When the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Here's what he was doing at the gates. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. So when Job sat in the gates, everybody respected him, and he executed judgment. He delivered the poor, the fatherless, and he defended the widow. That's what we did at our gates. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was eye to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not, I searched out. So he made diligent inquisition. So people that were wronged can receive justice, and people that did wickedly can be punished. And I break the jaws of the wicked and pluck the spoil out of his teeth. So the people that rob from the poor, rob from the fatherless, he made them keep the law and pay back that fourfold, pay back that fivefold, and give all the substance of their house. So when we sat in the gates, there was nothing but justice and judgment and wisdom, right? Let's get one more in the gates. So when you read about the gates of hell, you have a better understanding on what Yahweh Shah is talking about. You'll be able to see the gates of hell play out in real time with these so-called Jews and Trump and these wicked elites that are running the earth right now, right? Because they're putting laws in place to try to stop this church from growing, right? Jeremiah chapter 17 and 19. Thus saith Yahweh unto me, go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem. And that was also a place for kings. That's what the Most High is saying. The kings of Judah would be there. They would go out. They would go out to war, go out to deal with the people, and they would come in and execute judgment. And say unto them, this Jeremiah 17 and 20, hear ye the word of Yahweh, Bashmi Shai, ye kings of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. So again, gates were a place of leadership. Gates were a place of not just leadership, counsel, judgment, wisdom. There's a proverb that tells you in Proverbs 24 and 7. It says, wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth at the gates or in the gates, right? Because again, when you were out at the gates, you had to know what you was talking about. And if you didn't know what you was talking about, your best bet was to shut up, because you would embarrass yourself, bear false witness, speak on a matter that you had no understanding on, and it was ancient men that sat out there, ancient wise men, you know? So these are the gates on the right-hand side through the spirit and power of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. And it was a reason why, we're going to touch on this too. There's a reason why Yahushua said what he said, right? At that specific location. Let's go back to that. Matthew chapter 16 and 13. And when Yahushua came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? So this location, Caesarea Philippi, has a direct connection to the gates of hell in antiquity, right? Here's Caesarea Philippi on the map, right? I believe I had it right here on the map. Here's where Yahushua was when he said, whom do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Right? Far north of Galilee, right? Somewhat still in that province, somewhat, right? But you see it's far north. And you had a lot of, this was a place of a lot of idolatry, right? It was a place of a lot of wickedness and a lot of confusion and a lot of sorcery. Now, there was something about this place, Caesarea Philippi, that the Lord knew of, right? And when you go into this history, you can look it up, right? Here's the question, right? Was Caesarea Philippi called the gates of hell? Yes, Caesarea Philippi was widely considered the gates of hell or Hades in the ancient world, particularly during the time of Yahushua. Its reputation stemmed from a massive cave at the site, believed to be a bottomless entrance to the underworld, serving as a center for pagan worship, including the god Pan. So they really believed that this was the gates of an actual place called hell. That's what the heathen believed. A lot of them heathen, the concept of an actual place underground, a subterranean, everlasting inferno, is not biblical. That's a heathen philosophy. Really going back to the ancient Canaanites and the ancient Egyptians and those ancient Babylonians and them ancient Greeks, all them heathen, they believe in an actual place under the earth where you burn forever and ever and ever. This underworld. It's not in the Bible. Nowhere in the creation does it say in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and an actual place called hell. Where is that at? Right? So there was a reason why Yahushua said it in Caesarea Philippi, because you had an actual group of people and a lot of even Israelites who believed that that was the gates of hell. Right? So I'm going to just read this quick part. This is from Digging Deep, right? Israel Next Stop. Warning at the Cave of Pan. This is from the colleyhouse.org. So I'm going to read a quick part of this, right? Just touching on the gates of hell. It says, and it was this cave right here where people would go in and they believed that this was a place that would bring you to the underworld or an actual place called hell. That was in Caesarea Philippi, the exact same location that Yahushua mentioned in Matthew the 16th chapter. Now, this is the Grotto of Pan. That's what that cave is called. Right? It says the Grotto of Pan can, at least in philosophical terms, be considered an ancient point of anything goes sexuality. They got people called pansexuals. Pan is an ancient Greek god, right? Some heathen deity. And a pansexual, pan means all, like a pandemic, right? Or a what's another word? Pandemonium. Pan means, or a pantheon of gods. Pan means all, right? Let's read on a little bit more about this. The cave's waters fed the Jordan and were so plentiful that the center of the cave was considered a bottomless pit into which the Greeks would throw their sacrifices to this half man, half goat god. If the sacrifices disappeared in the water, then they were thought to be accepted by the god. If they failed to disappear, the worship was rejected by the goat god Pan. Check out what was going on with the so-called white man and wicked Israelites. Nudity, sexual orgies, and carnal freedom were all centerpieces of the worship of Pan, thus his connection to modern day pansexuality in America. So this was a freak spot, right? This was a freak spot in Caesarea Philippi where Yahushua was at. And when he was telling them that the gates of hell should not prevail against them, he knew about what was going on out there, man. He knew what was going on. And he wasn't telling them that that place would overthrow the church. It was a metaphor for all of the evil that would attempt to overthrow the church, because there's no actual place called hell. There's no actual place called hell. A lot of brothers believe that, even brothers in Israel believe that, but straight up and down, it's not in the Bible. The word hell just means the grave, or it can be a condition, or Yahushua uses it to describe the fire of his second coming, right? Let's get a quick precept on that, just to show that there's no actual place called hell, right? Let's get that in Matthew, right? This is, Slakia, Psalms 139 and 7. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. So it's the Most High in heaven and hell? No. It just means wherever you are, the Most High can see you. Rather you're in the grave or you're in the spirit world, right? That's it. There's only two realms. You have the celestial realm, where the Most High dwells at, the third heaven, and you have the terrestrial realm. There's nothing else. There's no third realm of a spiritual world where there's fire burning forever, man. So this word hell, let me go into this word hell real quick. Right? Make my bed in hell. Can you actually make your bed in hell? No. Just means you're in your sepulture in the grave. Here's the word shout. It's shawa'al. Shawa'al in the Hebrew. You'll hear people say Sheol. Shawa'al, and it says Sheol, underworld, grave, hell, pit. And you got to watch out too, because if you don't have any discernment, you look at this definition and say, oh, there's an underworld. The word underworld is just a grave. That's all it is. But remember, a lot of people who deal with this blue letter or deal with definitions, they're already poisoned in the mind. So they'll superimpose their own understanding into a biblical concept. So they'll slide this word underworld in there, when the original fathers who wrote the scripts that were inspired by the Most High, they weren't thinking about an underworld. It was just the grave. But they're throwing these extra words, and then if your mind not right, you'll get caught out there thinking that David was in the making his bed in the underworld. Right here it is, Sheol, the Old Testament designation for the abode of the dead. Right? That's all it is. The abode of the dead. Right? You're in the grave. That's all it means. It's not something that you got to get too deep on. Let's go to Psalm 16. The gates of hell is not talking about an actual place called hell. We already broke down what the gates mean. The gates are the leadership of a particular nation that is set up to protect, give counsel. They're the leaders. They execute judgment, and they're supposed to execute justice. The gates of hell in 2026 is led by these elites. They're the modern day gates of hell, right? They're the leaders of death on the earth, right? They're the leaders of bringing people down to a base low estate. It's our job to bring our people to a heavenly state, to speak of heavenly things, to speak about Yahweh and Yahushua. They want us to speak about the flesh. See, Yahushua said, I'm going to get a precept too. Let me get a quick precept. I want to get that. In John 8. All right, I believe that's John 8. Here's what Yahushua told the wicked Israelites, right? John 8 and 23. And he said unto them, Ye are from beneath, I am from above. Ye are of this world, I am not of this world. What did Yahushua mean when he said, ye are from beneath? He was on the earth when he said that. Did he mean that they was beneath the earth, they from an actual place called hell? No. Right? He says, you're carnal. You're of the world. You're of hell. You're of the grave. I'm from above. I'm thinking about the Most High. I'm thinking about this truth. I'm thinking about the Spirit. You're of the world. I am not of this world. So the concept of the modern day gates of hell are the people that's from beneath, that want to abase you and bring you into sin, captivity, and confusion. Now, going back to this hell, just breaking it down a little further, because you may have new brothers in this truth who may not know that there is not an actual place called hell. They might really believe that the Most High is going to open up the lever and they're going to be tormented by some huge demon with horns with a pitchfork, constantly stabbing them as they roast in eternal fire. Psalm 16:10. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. This is a prophecy of Yahushua. Was Yahushua's soul in the actual place called hell? This word hell, again, you look it up. Let's go to it. Same word, shawa'al. It means grave. So when Yahushua was put in the earth, the Lord didn't leave him in the earth. He raised him after 3 days and 3 nights. He did not leave his soul in hell. He did not leave him in the earth. When Yahushua was buried, they buried him in the sepulcher that no man ever laid, in the heart of the earth. If he was in the actual place called hell, how would John and Peter run to his sepulcher and walk in there? And if it's his actual soul, why would the Lord take the soul of Yahushua and put him in an actual place called hell? It's madness. So again, we got to stop with the confusion. Right? This is Acts 2 and 31. Right? Here's a precept. Let's see. Okay, I want 2 and 27. Acts 2 and 27. Because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. So let's see what this word hell is in the Greek. All right, we got in the Hebrew, but let's see what happened in the Greek. The word is Hades in the Greek. The Greeks believed that Hades was a place, right? And or the name of an actual god that ruled the underworld. Here's the word Hades. Name of Hades or Pluto, the god of the lower regions. You see that? So you see how the understanding changed? The understanding has changed to the point where people believe that there's some power under the lower regions that has dominion, right? Orcus. Where's Orcus at in the Old Testament? What is an Orcus? Right? Pull this up, Orcus. You see that? This is where people get the concept of Satan being a red man with horns from. They get it from Orcus. They get it from Pan. Nowhere in the Bible does it even say what Satan looks like. It doesn't say he has horns. It doesn't say he has wings. It does not say he has a pitchfork. It does not say, he's red. It doesn't say any of that. None of that is mentioned in the Bible. Right? But that modern day understanding goes back to the ancient Greeks. This Orcus spirit. Look at this. Right? That goes back to the ancient Greeks. So why would Yahushua's soul be in hell and Orcus is over him? Make it make sense. Right? That's, again, Christianity. Orcus, the netherworld, the realm of the dead. Right? Later use of this world, the grave, death, and hell. All right. That's all it means. Now in 2 Peter, let me get this real quick. 2 Peter, the second chapter. This is 2 Peter chapter 2 and 4. For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. So you have another false understanding where people believe that angels actually violated the commandments of God and got sent to an actual place called hell. Right? Now, let's go into this word hell right here. Right? Let's see. This word hell, it's not Hades. This word is Tartaru. Tartaru says, the name of the subterranean region, doleful and dark, regarded by the ancient Greeks as the abode of the wicked dead, where they suffer punishment for their evil deeds. It answers to Gehenna of the Jews. Gehenna was a place outside of Jerusalem that was a burning place for waste, trash, decay. It was like a landfill that was always burning, right? Then it became a place where Israelites were offering their children. So in process of time, it became a fable where people began to believe that there was an actual place of everlasting burning, you know? Now this is Tartarus, right? Let's pull that up. So we want to break down, this is part of breaking down those strongholds, right? This is part of breaking down the strongholds of our people. Look at this. This is not in the Bible. This is Greek mythology. Our understanding of who Satan is, and I'm gonna tell you something, all of the angels look alike, man. Angels got angels got woolly hair. The angels got beards. You know, the Most High don't have no angel that's written that looks like this. So this is the figment of the so-called white man's imagination and posed in our people's minds, just like white Jesus and Christianity. Right? And Satan, how they describe him, let me pull this up. Look at this madness. Satan having horns goes back to the so-called Greek god Pan. That's why you read about him being like a goat. He having goat legs and him having the horns. That's how the Greeks had Pan. So your modern day understanding of the devil is based off the so-called white man's Greek gods. He believed that there are deities that are half man, half goat. It's not in the scriptures. You know, playing the flute. And he had a pitchfork. The pitchfork goes back to Hades, because Hades was the so-called Greek god with a pitchfork in his hand. So he took a little bit of Hades, a little bit of Orcus, a little bit of Tartarus, a little bit of Pan, and that's where you get your modern day understanding of Satan running an actual place called hell. He took a little bit of this, that, and that's like he do with everything. He did that with Easter. Take a little bit of bunnies from the Germans, the so-called white man, and the Wiccans. I'm going to take a little bit of the eggs from Ishtar. He does this, man. This devil, like we read at camp, he has stolen waters. Christmas, I'm going to take a little bit from the Babylonians over here. Then I'm going to take a little bit of Mithra or Mithridates over here from the Persians and these people. Then I'm going to take a little bit of so-called white man and the Norse gods, and he makes his own gods because he has nothing. So he mixes up all these spirits and it causes confusion. You know, so Christianity is a joke. There's no Peter at the gates of heaven, and there's no actual gates of hell ran by a subterranean king given power by God. All those things are nothing but fables. They're nothing but fables. Let's go to 2 Peter. That's 2 Peter 1 and 16, right? 2 Peter chapter 1 and 16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables when we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. So they didn't have to make nothing up because they was there. They saw all of the miracles. They saw him raised from the dead, or they were witnesses to it, rather. They saw him ascend up to heaven. They ain't have to make nothing up. You know who has to make people make all those fables up? People that weren't there. It's always exaggerated. It's always embellished. Peter said, we ain't have to follow these fables, man. When we talked about the Lord, we were there. We saw it. We're eyewitnesses. I was there when he got delivered up. You know, I was there when he went up to the spirit world. And nobody could say that but the men that were there. So stop following Salakia cunningly. These are cunningly devised fables, right? I wanted to get this real quick just to show one more understanding on hell. Hell is also a condition. It's the grave, but it's also a condition. Jonah 2:2. And said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell cried I, and thou heardest my voice. So he was in a state of terror, right? He was in a whale's belly. I mean, it's dark, it stink, you know, probably going up and down the mountains, the whale going to and fro. The whale got the damn hole in his back, probably spewed Jonah out, ate him again. Nobody knows, right? But he was catching hell, right? He called his condition hell. That's in the Bible. Let's go to Song of the Three Holy Children, right? So we have to just break that stronghold down in order to understand what Yahushua is saying. Song of the Three Holy Children, verse 65. O Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell and saved us from the hand of death, and delivered us out of the midst of the furnace and burning flame, even out of the midst of the fire hath he delivered us. Were they in an actual place called hell? Were they in a grave? No, they were in a condition of torment, a condition of judgment and adversity. They called being thrown in that furnace hell. Jonah called being thrown or being swallowed up in that by that fish. He called it hell. When I'm at work, it's hell. When you're in these plantations, you're in hell. When you're to and fro, you are indeed in hell. All right, let's go to Mark 9. So hell can be a condition, hell can be the grave, and hell fire is also described in the Bible. This Mark 9:47. And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, for it is better for thee to enter into the kingdom of God with one eye than having two eyes be cast into hell fire. Hell fire is just a lake of fire, right? That's the judgment that the Most High set up. The lake of fire, which is the destruction that comes by the missiles and by the chariots. That's the hell fire that Yahushua is talking about. It says, where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. And that's parabolic talk, because all worms die. You don't have eternal worms with immortal bodies that are always alive and that can thrive in eternal fire. That's Christianity, right? So it's a metaphor about the destruction, right, that Yahushua is coming with. That's the hellfire. So let's go back to Matthew 16, right? Surely we understand what Yahushua is talking about now, right? Matthew 16:18. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So now we know it's not actual gates. Gates, again, for the seventh time, we'll probably say it 7 more times, represents the leadership. It's a place of judgment. It represents councils. It represents decisions. We had our own gates and our own leaders, like we read about in Deuteronomy 16. The so-called white man, he has his own leaders. He has his own places where they have councils. They have judgments. They put laws into place. They just signed a law like at midnight or 2 in the morning to make sure they can help watch everybody. It was like this massive surveillance act. Those are in their gates. And why is it called the gates of hell? Is that because there's an eternal fire? No. It represents the leaders of this world who bring forth death to overthrow the church. That's all it means, right? The leaders of this world that bring forth death to overthrow the church. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 16. And we're going to talk about some of these things these devils are doing, man, right? And what their motives and plans are. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16 and 13. For thou hast power of life and death. Thou leadest to the gates of hell and bringest up again. So the gates of hell is a metaphor for death and the grave. Yahweh Shema Shah could kill you and make you alive. That's all he's talking about. The Lord did that, man. A lot of people are brought to the brink of death, the gates of hell, near-death experiences. They actually died, and the Lord could raise you up again. So you see the correlation between death and how these world powers represent the gates of hell or the gates of death. All right, let's get I believe that's Isaiah 38 and 9. All right, let's get that. Isaiah, that's why precept must be upon precept. Yep, Isaiah 38 and 9. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, when he had been sick and was recovered of his sickness. I said in the cutting off of my days, I shall go down to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord in the land of the living. I shall behold no man with the inhabitants of the world. He said, I'm going to die. And where I'm going is the gates of the grave, right? Where I'm going is the gates of the grave, the gates of hell, the gates of death. It was used as a metaphor to describe the wicked powers of the world in this time and at the time of the apostles. Let's go to Luke 11. Luke 11 and 44. It reads, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are as graves which appear not, and the men that walk over them are not aware of them. So Yahweh Shah called actual men graves. Actual men are called the gates of death. Isaiah just called the grave the gates of death. Same thing in Wisdom of Solomon, the gates of hell. So wicked leaders are like graves that appear not. And the men that walk over them are not aware of them. What happens when you touch a grave, according to the law? You become unclean. When you touch a bone or the dead body, you become unclean for 7 days. And on the third day, you got to purify yourself. So people trust leaders and trust powers that be, but they're really becoming defiled. And they don't even know they're being defiled. Let me get that in the law. What do you think is going on in the Christian church? What do you think is going on with our people that trust the so-called white man? These Rothschilds, these Rockefellers, these presidents, these people, they're like graves that appear not. Right? And you don't even know you're being defiled. These people don't even know that they're unclean. Right? This is Numbers. Here's the law, right? Numbers chapter 13. Numbers chapter 19. And I want, bear with me. Numbers 19 and 16. And whosoever toucheth one that is slain with the sword in the open field, or a dead body, or a bone of a man, or a grave, shall be unclean 7 days. So when Yahweh Shah said that the wicked scribes and Pharisees were like graves, when you get involved with them, follow their hypocrisy, understand and eat their leaven and their doctrines and lies and confusion, you become unclean in the spirit. Because now you're filled with leaven. And they're already dead. And in the law, it's like they're already unclean. So when you touch a grave or a dead body or a bone of a man, and you touch somebody else, that person now becomes unclean. Right? Let me read that. And that's how Israel was getting defiled, by following the graves and these gates of hell, and they didn't even know that they were being defiled. Numbers 19 and 22. And whatsoever the unclean person toucheth shall be unclean, and the soul that toucheth it shall be unclean unto the even. And you know, this is spiritual, because Yahweh shall rebuke them, and he said that they would compass sea and land to make one proselyte. And when they when they get them, they make them two more fold the child of hell than themselves. Let me get that in Matthew 23. So they were making everybody defiled, man. Everybody was unclean, right? Everybody was unclean. Let's get this in Matthew 23 and verse, it's like, yeah. Let's see, is that 15? Come, Matthew 23 and 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte. And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. So they were the children of hell. Right? This is a cut to people that believe in an actual place called hell. How could they be the child of hell and they're still alive? Because they were the children of death. Right? We're the children of life. They were the children of darkness. We're the children of light. So the minute they converted, they made them twice as dead. They made them unclean. And they didn't even know it, man. A lot of these guys that was believing, the Pharisees and the scribes and the elders, they didn't know that they were becoming the children of death, the children of hell, and the children of the grave. Just like these people now, these Republicans, Democrats, Christians, Roman Catholics, they are the new children of hell, because they're walking upon the gates of death. And they don't even know it, man. So the gates of hell, their job is to attempt. They're not going to do it, but their job is to attempt and to make an effort to overthrow the ministry and the church. They're going to try, but they're not going to prevail. They tried against the apostles, right? You had them wicked scarce scribes and Pharisees who beat them, threatened them, persecuted them, chased them, delivered them up. You read all about that throughout the Gospels and the book of Acts. Death and these spirits were always trying to stop the word of the Lord. Satan would always try to work on these wicked Jews and the Roman Empire to overthrow the church. And that's what's going on in the last days. Those same spirits and these gates of hell and death are looking to overthrow this ministry. I'm gonna play a quick clip right here. Right? This is madness. It says, amid a rise in anti-Semitism, or Slovakia, amid a rise in anti-Semitic attacks across the United States, now is the time for Jewish Americans to arm themselves and be ready. NRA, I believe that's the National Rifle Administration, if I'm not mistaken, partnership with the Locks and Loaded LLC as hoping to expand access to training, education, and community-based self-defense. And this is all propaganda, man. You roll up across a so-called Jew now, he got his trench coat on. You say the wrong thing, and this guy, he'll pull out a damn 9 on you, man. A deuce. He'll reach in his damn nasty sock. He was trained by the NRA. What's the NRA for brothers that may not be familiar with that? The National Rifle Association. They're training the so-called Jew. And you know why they're training the so-called Jew? Is it because of legitimate anti-Semitic threats? No, it's because his word is going out on a higher level. And they're not necessarily beginning, they're further pushing this agenda that the so-called Jew is the most hated, the most robbed, the most discriminated against, the most outcasted nation and race of people on the earth. And that's not according to the Bible, man. First of all, we don't have to do a 3-hour lesson on how they're not the Jews, right? We've done that. And the scriptures tell you in Daniel, the 9th chapter, under the whole heaven hath not been done like been done to Jerusalem. So if anybody got it the worst, it's us. But now you got the NRA training the so-called Jew on how to kill a so-called black man. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to be justified. Now the NRA, they ain't help out they don't help out so-called black people. When the last time the NRA came to the hood as young so-called black men are being murdered by the police, getting shot with their hands up? When did they come out and say, you know what? We want to help y'all shoot. We're going to take y'all and open this program for all of the so-called blacks, all of the so-called Hispanics, where ICE is locking them up unjustly, right? You got men in masks who claim that they're ICE, just regular old people, capturing them. We're going to go and train a so-called Hispanic man and a so-called Native American man on the reservation. Next time a so-called white man come on your reservation and he don't have no whatever paperwork or documentation you need, we're going to train them and they're going to be able to learn how to defend themselves. It's never happened. They would never, ever, ever. Matter of fact, I believe, I looked it up, they tried to stop Jake from doing this, man. Let me see. NRA. What do I want to type in? Stops. Let me see. I believe it's the Black Panther Party. It was some group, right? Yeah, check this out. In 1967, I saw this online. The NRA supported gun control legislation, specifically the Mulford Act in California, which was designed to stop the Black Panther Party from legally carrying loaded weapons in public. But they're going to train a so-called Jew. Years ago, over 50 years ago, damn near, they went out of their way to stop us from defending ourselves from the so-called white man's terrorism. And now they say, okay, with a so-called Jew, we're going to train them and they're going to kind of, they're going to be able to defend themselves against the so-called black man and them black Hebrew Israelites when they come against them. Now check this. I'm going to play this clip. Right? Check this out. This is madness. Right? This is absolute madness. All right. Again, amid a rise of anti-Semitic attacks across the United States, now is the time for Jewish Americans to arm themselves and be ready. Right? So they know something is coming.
In America today, Jewish families face unprecedented threats simply for who they are.
We assess this attack to be a...
In America today, Jewish families face unprecedented threats simply for who they are.
We assess this attack to be a Hezbollah-inspired act of terrorism.
Right?
Many never thought they'd need to defend themselves until now.
In today's world, there's a lot of anti-Semitism. Everybody needs to protect themselves. Judaism takes any life-saving precaution very seriously.
Can't stand these damn devils. I can't stand these damn. They gotta go. The more that you see these prophecies unfold and this devil showing his horns, the easier it is to see. Yeah, the Most High has to exterminate. Obadiah 1:18. It just makes so much sense. They just have to go. They can't be on the earth. They just can't be on the earth. How do they? Let me play this, Frog. I'm gonna go on a rant. Slacky.
Until now.
In today's world, there's a lot of anti-Semitism. Everybody needs to protect themselves. Judaism takes any life-saving precaution very seriously. you always want to have the upper hand so that the people who protect human life,
You always
people
want to have the upper hand.
who value human life above all, they're the ones calling the shots.
Enter locks and loaded.
Where is it at in the Torah? Where is that at? Where in Genesis through Deuteronomy does it say that you always got to have an upper hand with a gun? Where is it at in the law? Why would you need, hold on, if you're the people of the Lord and you're in your own land, is it the Most High to protect you and the angels? And the Lord said that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. In Micah, the 4th chapter, and Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Didn't the Lord say in Hosea 2:14 on down that the Lord will cause wars to cease? And in Psalm, so why? If you're the people of the land and God gave you that land, why do you now need to link up with the NRA, locks and loaded, and learn how to defend yourselves? You're the people of the, ain't you supposed to be the people of the Lord? Ain't they Moses, David, Peter, Samson?
A national Jewish advocacy group partnering with the NRA to train and arm those facing anti-Semitism and physical harm.
Now you pop up in one of them tunnels, man, they'll shoot you now. First, they called the police. They used to just call the police on you. Or they had their own community police. Now they will, and you run across some Amalekites, man, they open up that briefcase, and like I said, they got a 32 in there. They got expensive weapons. They don't got them weapons that Jake got. They got that stolen money. They'll pull out a damn Desert Eagle on you, man. A golden gun out that briefcase. And they're gonna get away with it. We're killing Jake. In the name of anti-Semitism, they're being given a license to freely murder. And that's what they'll do, and that's what they've always done, and that's what they'll continually to do. Right? They're given a license and more skill to murder swiftly.
The Second Amendment is meant for every single American citizen.
We're trained on how to safely and securely carry and handle a weapon. And it allows us to protect ourselves, our family. It's very important that Jews learn to defend themselves.
Look at this guy. God damn, I can't stand them. Look at Abe and Cheryl. Right? They have to go. They got to go. Abe and Cheryl. His name's Abraham.
Ourselves, our family. It's very important that Jews learn to defend themselves, and learning to shoot is critical.
And I feel it's important for women to learn how to shoot also, especially during these times because of anti-Semitism. We shouldn't have to feel like we're victims.
Through training, stories, and community, they're turning vulnerability into vigilance.
What we're doing is we're building a community. We're building a community of people who are willing to stand up for themselves. We are going to take care of
Okay, like I said before, when did they do that for us? Not that we need that, but I'm just making a point. Right? When did they do that for the so-called black man, Hispanic man, Native American man? Been marginalized, disenfranchised, slaughtered, slain by the edge of the sword. All our women, hey, look, man, don't we got children going up missing every day? 5,000. The brother sent that in the chat, like 5,000 Jakes go missing every day. You would think they would say, you know what? Let's go to Detroit, Chicago, what else? LA, New York, Memphis, Little Rock, Birmingham, Alabama. And we're gonna show them how to defend themselves. You know what they do? They socially engineer an environment where you damn gotta survive, and they drop off all these guns and all these drugs, and you damn killing each other. Then they go to the so-called Jew, because all these so-called anti-Semitism attacks are false flags. They're all false flags. So they create the chaos and then come up with a solution. So really what they're saying is they're giving themselves a license and a liberty to kill the so-called black man at will, swiftly. They're already the lawyers. They're the judges. They own the prisons. They got the courts. So they just want to kill you just a little bit faster. They don't want to call the police. They want to pull out that briefcase, pull out that Desert Eagle, and blow you damn away. You know?
Training, stories, and community. They're turning vulnerability into vigilance.
What we're doing is we're building a community. We're building a community of people who are willing to stand up for themselves. We are going to take care of each other. If we offer that,
he said, we are going to take care of each other. He ain't talking about us.
to the world as a
So if they're going to take care, when he say we're going to take care of each other, you know what he's saying? We hate you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We will not take care of you. And how is this being a light to the Gentiles? If these are the people of the Lord, how is this being a light to the Gentiles?
whole, it'll be clear that we're not going to be victimized.
The Jewish community are not soft targets. They're not soft targets in their heart, in their mentality, and the way they live. They need to have that tactical advantage to learn how to defend themselves.
We're so appreciative of what Locks and Loaded does for the Jewish community, especially during these times when anti-Semitism is running high.
I like what they do. This is the mentality that I probably inherited from my dad. Don't be afraid to defend yourself. Don't be afraid to do what you have to do.
Never again means being ready.
Damn, Amalek got the shotty now. You see him, he got the shotgun.
Never again means being ready.
So they get, oh, that might not be a shot. I don't know what that is. I'm not a gun expert. Some type of rifle. Hey, but they getting ready, man. Amalek, what are they getting ready for? What's happening to the point where they're taking up arms? They're confiscating all of the so-called guns in the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American homes, right? They're going in your house, you know, they're taking away your Second Amendment, they're doing, and they're pulling up all these weapons. They know that there's race wars coming. Right? They know race wars are coming, and they know also that when things kick off, they're going to have the license to execute. This is all in their Talmud, and we can go into that they're going to have the liberty and a license to execute anybody who, quote unquote, threatens their lives. Right? So things, man, like I said, things are heating up. Right? Let me pull this up real quick through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shah. Right? Things are heating up, and it's getting hot, man. It's getting hot through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahweh Shah. Right? I believe I want right. Let me get this. Let me get this first. Right. We want to hold that one. We want to hold that. Hold on. It's like we got so much we want to get into. Right. This is. I want to get this definition of domestic terrorism. Right. Because this is what it's going to come down to. Right. It's going to come down to the saints, the apostles, prophets, servants of the Lord, being delivered up under charges. And they're going to use anti-Semitism as the catalyst, if you will, to charge the apostles, prophets, evangelists, teachers, pastors, ministers, us and his knowledge with all these federal charges. Right? As we continually push forth what they call anti-Semitism, what we call the truth, there are going to be penalties for that. There's going to be penalties for what you post on social media, even if you're going to be allowed to have social media. They're going to redefine and broaden the scope of what is considered domestic terrorism, sedition, treason. They're already working on bills, working on laws, putting these things into play, right? And they have already identified who is who. And they're doing this because the word of the Most High is having essentially free course. And all these doubles are being revealed. So they're looking to crack down to stop this word from going out on a very high level. That's where they're getting guns, they're training, they're getting ready for the race wars, they're putting these laws into play to stop all of this, right? And this goes into the gates of hell because within these buildings, these Congress meetings, these Bilderberg groups, these world leaders are putting laws into place to try to stop the ministry and the church from growing like they did in the times of the New Testament. And they're doing that now. So I wanted to see if I can zoom in. Okay, I can. Now I just want to define this, right? This is not my website. This is FBI.gov. You can look it up on your own. File repository, counterterrorism, domestic terrorism, definitions, terminology, and methodology. Right? It says, let me get this. Domestic terrorism for the FBI's purposes is referenced in U.S. Code 18 U.S.C. 23315 and is defined as activities involving acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the United States or any state, appearing to be intended to intimidate. I want brothers to take their mind to camp to the videos to, how brothers are teaching, right? And how the word goes out and has free course. And then match that to the definition and see kind of, if something lines up. Appearing to be intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. That's called sedition, right? You're intimidating the so-called Jew when you read Deuteronomy 25:17, Exodus chapter 17:15 on down, Ezekiel 7:21 on down, Ezekiel 36:5, Numbers 24, right, and 20 on down. When you Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9, Isaiah 14:21, all these precepts, you're intimidating a civilian population. When you speak about the destruction of Babylon the Great and say we got to come together, right, and come to the kingdom of heaven, right? You're telling them that's coercion. This is in their mind. This is coercion. Now they can say, no, that's not what it is. That is what it is. It says influence the policy of government by intimidation or coercion, or affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping, and primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States, right? So this goes into sedition, to intimidate or coerce a civilian population. Here's another quick, some more insight. Treason, sedition, and subversive activities, right? So these are different charges that they very well will put on the men of the Lord, right? They did it to Yahushua. If any brother saying, no, I don't know about that, I'm just going out there at camp, then you don't know what the hell is going on. It's like you don't know what you're involved in. Oh, that would never happen. Have you didn't read the book of Acts? You didn't read Luke, the 23rd chapter, right? They say Yahushua was perverting the nation. Luke 23:1. And the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, we found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ a king. So he was perverting the nation. Let's go into this word perverting. That's a capital offense in the Roman Empire. Right? Here's the word perverting in the Greek. Diastropho. Diastropho, it says to distort, turn aside, plot against, to oppose, plot against the saving purposes and plans of God, to turn aside from the right path, pervert, corrupt. Right? So when they say he was corrupting them, he was opposing the Roman Empire, plotting against the Roman Empire. That's essentially what they were saying. Because they said, Yahushua was saying that he's the king, and Caesar, he's not the king. That's treason. That is sedition. They charged Yahushua with that. Right? Let's go to Matthew, the 10th chapter. Right? Matthew chapter 10. That's what he put on his cross. Well, Pilate knew, but Pilate put, this is Yahushua, King of the Jews, paraphrasing. Right? Because Pilate knew he was the King of the Jews. And then they wanted Pilate to change it and say that he said that he's the King of the Jews. And Pilate said, hey, I wrote what I wrote. What I've written, I have written. You know, so they wanted to have those false charges on him. Right? So this is Matthew 10 and 24. Let's read this. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more should they call them of his household? So the cost of being a disciple for the Lord is whatever the master Yahushua went through, we're going to have to go through it. There's no if, ands, or buts. So if they said Yahushua was perverting the nation, then what are they going to say about us? They're going to say we are perverting the nation. When I say we, it's really the servants of the Lord that are out there on the forefront of the ministry, reconciling the saints back to Yahweh Basham, rebuking these heathen, prophesying the downfall of Babylon the Great, saying that there's a new kingdom that's established. Right? Imagine being in somebody else's land, telling them that their land is about to be destroyed and you're part of a new nation. So those are ways of sedition and perverting the nation and their eyes. To us, it's prophecy. It's the will of God. Right? But to their hypocritical society, that's what they're putting out there. Right? And we put this out before too. We'll pull it out again in Acts 24. Acts 24 and verse number 5. Here's Paul on trial. Acts 24 and 5. For we have found this man a pestilent fellow and a mover of sedition among all the Jews throughout the world, and a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarenes. So they said this man was committing sedition. Let's go into that word. Was Paul actually committing sedition? Here's the word in the Greek, stasis or stasis. And it reads an insurrection. That's sedition, treason, subversion, perverting the nation. Let's go into this word insurrection. These are the charges brought against Yahushua and the apostles. All right, let's pull this up. Insurrection. Let's see in law. In law. Let's see what they say. Okay, in the United States law, insurrection is defined as a violent uprising by citizens against their government intended to overthrow it or thwart the enforcement of laws. It is treated as a serious crime and a national security emergency, activating specific federal statutes, including criminal penalties and constitutional disqualifications from office. Check that out. They put that on Paul. They put that on Yahushua. They're going to put that on the men of the Lord, the servants of the Lord, because this word is too much. This word is too much for them, right? This word is exposing them. This word is revealing who the real men of the Lord are, who the true Israelites are. This word is hot, right? And they're going to put these charges on us. And they're putting a lot of laws into play to stop it. You got the 2026 Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2025. And it's still moving through the ranks. And it's more than likely be passed later this year. Right? Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act. Why are they putting this into place? What do they want to stop? You may say, well, they want to stop the Muslims. First of all, I don't know if anybody told you, but the Muslims are not the number one threat to America. A lot of them foreign nations working together to destroy all these oil refineries, to destroy all these oil plants, gas facilities, to self-destruct this current estate and its current financial system and push the new world order. A lot of these people are working together. I don't care who it is. And everybody knows, the powers that be know, the gates of hell know that the true threats to this world are the men of the Lord. So they're putting laws into play to justify their persecution against us. So when they do it, they're backed up by their own laws, right? So this has been introduced, and it goes through the phases, right? It was read twice and referred to the committee of the judiciary. It has to pass Senate, pass the House, the president, and become law. It'll probably become law by the time they do these a little before they start doing false flags or something along those lines for some major national emergency, right? That's probably when it'll become law. And introduced by, let's see, we'll just do this senator. And more than likely, I can't prove it, but more than likely he gets funded by the so-called Jew. All of the Senate, all of the, the Congress, the House, all in all, they get funded by the so-called Jew. So a lot of these laws that they put into place are really spearheaded by Amalek, right? Let me get this in First Maccabees, right? So they sit together in their gates, in their councils, to come up with plans to try to hinder this word from going out. This is First Maccabees, chapter 8, and this is about the Romans, right? The Roman Empire, right? This is First Maccabees, chapter 8 and 15. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a Senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered. You see that? So the ancient Roman Empire, they always came together every day to make plans. Did they make plans to help out the Israelites? Is that why the Senate came together during a Roman Republic? Later, the Roman Empire? No. Does the Senate come together? All these congressmen, all these people, did they come together to save the so-called black man from drugs, from child protective services, from the foster care, from the prison systems, from gun violence, drug violence? Why do they counsel daily? To pass wicked laws like that, wicked bills. See, and a lot of this stuff gets passed when there's this great distraction, the playoffs, a rap beef, the Grammys, the Oscars. When the people are in massive distraction, that's when the so-called white man start passing a lot of these bills and laws. They do it at midnight, odd hours, 2 a.m. So they consult daily for the people. Which people? Their people. To the end that they might be well ordered, not us. They just had the Bilderberg meeting of 2026. Right? The 72nd Bilderberg meeting was held from April 9th through April 12th, 2026 at the Salamander, Washington, D.C. Hotel in D.C. Around 130 leaders and experts from industry, finance, academia, and media across Europe and North America, that's the beast, Roman Empire, met to discuss key topics including AI, the transatlantic defense, industrial relationships, Russia and China, and global trade. You know what they didn't say? The Israelites. Now you can say they don't talk about that. You're not there. I don't have to be there. That's what Psalms 83 is about. First Maccabees 8 and 15. Psalms the second chapter. Psalm 64. You think they're just discussing global trade? Just industrial relationships? Right? We're not invited to the Bilderberg group, which is a council of the elites. There's no way in hell a Negro can come down. You can't even smell it, man. You can't come 500 feet to this council. They'll grab you up and eat you. Literally. Let you try to sneak in there with a camera and some AI meta glasses. Man, they'll grab you up and cook you, man. Offer you up for a sacrifice to their God and eat you. In real life, you know? So these meetings they have are secret meetings, secret councils, and they're putting laws into play to attempt to stop the word of the Most High from coming out, right? Let's get Wisdom of Solomon, right? Wisdom of Solomon. Let me get that too. And this is from late last year. They put a bill that will fine social media companies $5 million every day for not fighting terrorism. Right? So if you're out there pushing that America is going to be destroyed by Russia, by China, you know, by Iran, you're really pushing terrorism. When you're saying that we're going to enslave the so-called white man, and you read Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, you're pushing on social media terrorism. That post, that story, you're pushing terrorism. That's why a lot of brothers don't, they're a little, how do I say? They're soft. I'm gonna just call it what it is. They don't want to go into certain precepts. They don't want to read this precept. They say don't read that one. Don't read Revelation 2 and 9 anymore. You got to use wisdom. Don't read Revelation 3 and 9. You got to use wisdom. It's under the pretense of you're using wisdom, but really you're in fear. And your fear of man is not wisdom. It's an abomination. Let me get Revelation 21 and 8. Right? We're going to see who the true men of the Lord are, man, as things heat up. Revelation 21 and 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So if you're fearful, you're not going to make it. It's not just, okay, this brother's eating pork, he's going to be destroyed. No, if you're eating fear, you're going to be destroyed. If you're an unbeliever, you're going to be put to death. So brothers have to stand boldly against the gates of hell. You're not going to prevail. And you have to stand boldly for Yahweh Shema Shah. Well, brother, what do I do, brother? What if they come up and they put a law and do I make this post? Well, brother, do I go to camp? Well, show me the precepts I can't read. Let a brother ask me that, man. What precepts can't I read? Here's my black highlighter. I know I can't read Revelation 2 and 9. And damn nose running. I know I can't read Revelation 3 and 9. Psalms 137 and 7 through 8. I can't prophesy the destruction of America. You might start having brothers, they don't even talk about the destruction of America anymore, which is an integral part of our ministry. Well, brother, we shouldn't really go into Revelation, the 18th chapter. Don't read Revelation 18 and 21, thus with violence. Should that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. Don't read that one. Matter of fact, I changed that closing precept. And why don't you close up with, I don't know, close up with John, right? Yahushua wept. What is that? John 11. We're not closing up with Yahushua wept. You know? And God is love. We're not just going to start. We're going to pull all these precepts, man. Right? When it's warranted. So they're putting these laws, where is it at? Into play. The Stop Hate Act wants social media platforms to report their moderation policies and outcomes to the government. And it's not only censorial measure, Josh Gottheimer. Now, this is from 7/24/2025. Imagine that, man. All your stories, your TikToks, what you retweet, what you like, what you post, your YouTube, your WhatsApp, all of that is considered social media. And if you're talking about the Israelites and America you got brothers saying, I can't wait till America's destroyed. You're damn near pushing terrorism. Why are you talking? This is in their mind. You're talking about another country that you dwell in being destroyed. Yeah, the kings of the East, they're coming together. Iran. Yeah, that's, in their eyes, terrorism. So they're putting these laws into play. Right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. While the world is enamored with who's going to make the playoffs, right? Who won the Grammys? I don't know what's going on. What else is going on in the world? It's probably some new rap beef going on. It's always some bread and circus drama to keep people distracted as these devils are passing bills and laws, man, to justify what they have always wanted to do. Now, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2. I'm going to read 1, and I'm going to jump down. Slack it. It's Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of man, there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. This is the psychology of an Edomite. And like I always say, if you ever wanted to tap into his mind and figure out how he reasons and what he thinks, the Most High reveals it to you. It says what? For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not all right. So he's breaking down their thought process, how it's not right, how it's wicked, and how they move in the earth. Here's what they said. I'm going to jump down. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse number 10. And this is a beautiful chapter right here, but I'm going to read verse 10. It reads, let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. They say, look, we don't care about the poor. We don't care. But they just dumped out all these people in the hospital. I don't know what city that was in. Was that Memphis, or I don't know if that was Little Rock. I can't quite remember. Maybe somewhere, I think in the Midwest or down south, somewhere. They just dumped out all these people in the hospital, man. They say, look, man, we can't take care of you. Right? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Poor people. Hospital. Left on streets, right? I'm gonna just see if they give me what I'm looking for. I gotta find it, man. This just happened. Right, I have to find it. But they just dumped these guys out of the hospital, man. You know, they kicked them out and left them for dead. So they don't care about the poor or the righteous man. Here's what they care about. This verse 11. Let our strength be the law of justice. For that which is feeble is found to be nothing worth. So we're considered the feeble. We're considered the feeble, meaning we're the weak in their eyes, because we don't have a military. We don't have anyone to defend us. We don't have any strongholds, any towers, any temples. We don't have an army. We don't have anything. We're just the feeble. They say, okay, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, they're worth nothing. Therefore, we're going to strengthen ourselves to defeat them by putting laws into place. So the Stop Hate Act law, the domestic terrorism law, this is their strength. And they're pushing these laws to strengthen themselves to destroy the sons of God. Because they're not just going to come with the sword, they come with laws and policies. Don't it tell you that in Daniel 8? He shall cause craft to prosper. Let's get that in Daniel 8 and 25. Daniel 8 and 25. And through his policy, also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So this so-called white man, he uses policies for his advantage. And he'll come off peaceably, but it's meant to destroy you. And his strength is indeed the law of justice, right? Their strength is the laws of justice, right? So let me pull this up real quick. This is, where is this at? Like, I had a lot. We had a lot we wanted to get into. They also have a new national law has been introduced to require all operating systems to have a mandatory age verification. You can look it up on your own. House Resolution 8250. So every time that people get a phone or you want to log into a social media, it says all operating systems. That could be Apple. It can be Windows. It could be whatever other operating systems there are. Part of the programming is when you log in, you're going to have to identify yourself. Name, age. You may have to put in your social, right? You may have to put on your birth dates and all that. And why are they doing this? So they can target who's who online and have it and tie it to a reason to come against you and arrest you, right? They're saying it's for the children. We have to protect the teenagers, the kids, from misinformation, disinformation. No, they're using this to come after the servants of the Lord, right? Check this out. All information except text for HR 8250. It says to require operating systems. That's your phone, tablet, iPad, Apple Watch, damn MacBook. People got Apple TVs. They just passed the mass surveillance law so they can watch everything you do. And whoever say the word Israel, you bet not say Judah. You bet not say, they're going to have key words. If, like trigger words, Yahweh, Yahweh Kwam Yashala, Israel, right? Just certain key words, Babylon the Great. And I'm going to tell you something, I could be wrong. This might be my opinion, but I know other brothers know about this too, or feel this way. A lot of this stuff, man, you be thinking stuff and they pop up on the screen too. Now, I don't know how they do it, or you might be talking about something that pop up on your social media. Sometimes you just thinking it. You in the other room talking, your damn phone listening to you say whatever, and it show up on the screen. Or sometimes you're just thinking about it. I remember one time I was thinking about something, and it popped up on the damn Instagram. There were no sounds in the background. I was by myself, and I was thinking about something, and it showed up as an ad on Instagram. So these devils are into some, and these algorithms and stuff, they're into some high-level watching, high-level witchcraft. Now, that could just be me, but I know a few other brothers that kind of experienced something similar. You know? So they want to be able to do wickedness, and they don't want anybody to correct them. That's what it's all about. They want to be able to rape, rob, murder, and lie. And they want to come after not just the Israelites. You got a lot of whistleblowers. You got a lot of ex-government officials, ex-military officials, ex-media people that are blowing the lid off of a lot of these clandestine operations of the so-called white man. So they want to cut all that out. So your only source of information could be mainstream media owned by them for further wine and further indoctrination. That's all they want. All of this is to strangle the truth. Scriptures say, what's the classic precept? Let's go to Isaiah. It's like your Amos. Right, here's the classic. Amos chapter 5 and 10. They hate him that rebuketh in the gate. They abhor him that speaketh uprightly. And we speaking in their gates, right? We're rebuking them in their gates. And they hate us for it. So they got to put all these laws into play. Get the people to support it because we're speaking uprightly. Right? And we're exposing them, huh? Let's go to oh man, it was a precept. Isaiah 13, right? Isaiah chapter 13 and verse number 1. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah, the son of Amos, did see. Lift ye up a banner upon a high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. So why do you think that they're having all these councils? Because of Isaiah 30 and 2. Why do you think they're pushing all these laws? Stop the hate law or stop the hate act. The domestic terrorism bill of 2026. Another legislation. Because of the word of the Lord. The banner is lifted up. What does this precept actually mean? It says, lift up a banner upon a high mountain. A banner is a flag, if you will, a standard. When armies went to war, they would all hold a standard bearer. And it would usually be the name or the flag or the logo of your country or the family that you fought for, right? Or it might have been a word or whatever. The banner that we are under is this truth. And we're lifting up that banner. We're lifting up the laws of the Most High. We're lifting up the name Yahweh. We're lifting up the name of Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Shah said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. And as you draw men to Yahweh Shah, by default, you're pulling men away from the so-called white man. So we're lifting up this truth. We're exalting the word of the Most High. Where are we doing it? Upon the high mountain. What's the high mountain? The high mountain is Babylon the Great. America. This is the high mountain, the top kingdom on the earth. And really, when you lift up a banner, that is a declaration of war. That's a sign that somebody has declared war on you. Right? That is a sign that somebody has declared war. And they ready for it. They ready for whatever. Let somebody come. That's like when people in the world, man, they be walking up people and they be throwing up the damn gang signs, banging on people. That's like an act of war. They might be a damn blood crip or vice lord or whatever. They walk up throwing up damn signs on you. They call it banging on people. That's an act of war. People fight over stuff like that. And we doing that to the so-called white man. But we lifting up this word, right? We lifting up this truth. Let's go to Psalms real quick. Quick precept for this banner. Psalm 60. Psalm 60 and verse number 4. Thou hast given a banner to them that fear thee, that it may be displayed because of the truth. Salah. So the banner is this truth. Let's go into this word banner. And it was given to those that fear him. The word banner, it says something lifted up, standard, signal, signal pole, ensign, banner, a sign. a standard as a rallying point. So all of the tribes can come together when they're scattered abroad to this rallying point in the midst of war. When you're scattered abroad, the standard bearer lifted up, everybody look and see, and they retreat and they gather together, become stronger, and defeat the enemy, right? Under that rallying point. So let's go back to this. Lift they up, Isaiah 13:2. Lift they up a banner upon a high mountain, exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand. Shaking the hand is a sign of rebuke, that they may go into the gates of the noble. So the men of the Lord are doing their job. They're pushing this truth. They're exalting the voice, so much so that they're going to the gates of the nobles. They're putting these bills and laws into play, right? Stop Hate Act of 2025. In progress. What's the other law we went into? Was this it? Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2025. They go into the gates of the nobles. They're in these gates of hell, these councils, and these government buildings and secret places to strengthen themselves with these wicked laws, man. As it by means to come after the servants of the Lord, right? Let's pull this up. We went into that, right? Amalek with the shoddy, right? How you're going to have to just sign in, right? You might open up your phone next time. They might say, who the hell are you, man? You got to put in all your information, and they probably cut your phone off if they find out you made a post and you're locked out of your phone and you can't get back on your phone. Because you're a threat. You're a national security threat. You're anti-Semitic. It ain't no more locking you out of TikTok or they what they do to your account. They delete your account. And damn, cut you off your phone. Straight up. Cut you out from the bank. You ain't going to the bank. You ain't doing this. So they're looking to control everybody on a massive level. And if you're part of this beast and part of the system, you're going to be all right. But if you're not part of this beast and part of this system, they're going to cut you out, right? They're going to cut you out and you're going to be caught out there, right? You're going to be caught out there, right? This with this demon. Look at this demon, right? I'm going to just play this quick audio clip. Here's what she said. Right, this damn whore, warlock, murderer.
The platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm. If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control.
We lose total control. Really, they lose total control over people's minds. Everybody's influenced by social media. That is the main source of information, straight up and down. It is the main. Nobody gets information from Fox News. I mean, you might get local information, right? But people know about that. CNN, MSNBC, all these Amalekite, heavily pushed demonic stations, right? But a lot of people, they getting fed by social media, man. You're seeing what Iran is posting and who's doing this and who's doing that. And they say we lose total control because people are beginning to sober up. I'm seeing videos of Edomites saying we need to stop paying taxes. Retweeting on posts, yeah, you're right. Yeah, burn that other warehouse down. Burn that building down. These are Edomites, so-called white men. We should just burn the government down. Where do the elites? You got Edomites saying, where do the elites live at? We need to get them. I don't know if they're watching the cat videos or they're watching other whistleblowers. But you got Edomites. One of these devils said, all you have to do is pay us to live. He burnt down half the warehouse. So they're losing control. You got people saying, I'm not fighting Epstein's war. And I'm not saying these Israelites, these are other nations in America. These are American freeborn citizens. So a lot of this indoctrination is not having an effect. So they want to control the source of information. We lose total control. And they want to stop this word from going out too. I'm not going to put a precept on the screen. I'm going to just read it. But it reminded me of Acts, the 4th chapter, right? I'm going to go back to that. Let's go to Acts 4, right? Remember this happened, man. The gates of hell, right? These are the gates of hell. Acts chapter 4. Check this out. Acts 4 and verse, I mean, it's this beautiful chapter. You know what? I'm going to actually pull this up on the screen. I'm going to go back to that. But this is a beautiful account, man. It's a beautiful account in Acts, the 4th chapter, through the spirit and power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahushua, right? Concerning the apostles and their great boldness and how they stood for the Lord, man. Acts 4 and 13. Now, when they saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived that they were unlearned and ignorant men, they marveled and they took knowledge of them that they had been with Yahushua. Yeah, Peter and John, they didn't go to the school of Gamaliel or Hillel or, all these top teachers. They weren't at the synagogue from the youth up learning the Hebrew. No, they was just regular old fishermen. They was from the hood. They're from Galilee. They're from uptown, right? So they didn't have a lot of learning, So they mocked these guys, man, Peter and John. They said, oh, they've been with the Lord. They moving in that same bold spirit. And beholding the man that was healed standing with them, they could say nothing against it. And this is spiritual. They saw a man that was healed. And it was like, damn, we can't deny it. He was impotent. He was lame on his feet. He couldn't walk. And now he can walk. There's nothing we could say. And this is how these elites are looking at us now. They're watching brothers come off of drugs, crack, brothers stop committing adultery, keeping the Sabbath, they're watching how much damn lamb is being bought, how much bitter herbs. They study finances, inventory, supply chain. They're seeing all these expenses that are allocated to feast days. You're watching all of these Israelites buy all these things and garments and coming to the truth and how much money's being lost from Christmas per person. And they're seeing all of us get healed, families in order. And it's not a damn thing they can say. Acts 4 and 15. But when they had commanded them to go aside out of the council, they conferred among themselves. And that's what these elites are doing now. They're having councils amongst themselves. Bilderberg Group 2026, Congress, laws, the elites, Stop Hate Act law, domestic terrorism law. And there are other things that are being talked about as we speak. These elites are somewhere in some sadistic building swinging a cup of Jake baby blood, man, with some mask on, as some high priest offers a sacrifice as they discuss how to break down the men of the Lord. They probably know brothers by name. Yeah, that's Isaiah the prophet back on the earth. Yeah, that brother from that camp, that's the Apostle Paul. They got high-level warlocks, man. Yeah, he's moving in the spirit. Remember that medium in 1 Samuel 28? She said, I see God ascending out of the earth. And that's Samuel right there. So these people, they know who's who in the spirit. We got to stop Peter. So there's a lot of similarities of what was going on 2,000 years ago to what's going on now. Let's read on. Acts 4 and 16. Here's what they said. Saying, what shall we do to these men? For that indeed a notable miracle hath been done by them is manifest to all them that dwell in Jerusalem, and we cannot deny it. So what can we do to these guys, man? Nobody can deny all of the Israelites waking up to this truth. But that it spread no further among the people. Let us straightly threaten them that they speak henceforth to no man in this name. We got to threaten them. No more Yahushua. Straight up. If I hear you say Yahushua again, you're going to be arrested. We'll kill you. We'll rob you. We'll break into your house. And your woman might come up missing. We'll take you captive. You'll get fired from your job. You'll get pulled over. They'll run you. Oh, you're one of those the black Hebrew Israelites. Step out the vehicle. Didn't they tell where you on your way to camp? You bet not go to camp. I'm a father. If I see you at camp and we following you, we getting up with you. I bet not hear the word Yahushua. So they were doing this to the apostles. They want to threaten them. A lot of these laws and stuff, these are threats. Let's read on. Acts 4:18. And they called them and commanded them not to speak at all, nor teach in the name of Yahushua. But Peter and John answered and said unto them, whether it be right in the sight of the Most High to hearken unto you more than unto God, judge ye. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. Right? They said, you're not stopping a damn thing, man. I can't help it. I got to talk about the truth. I got to go into this precept. I got to pull this information up. I got to go into this prophecy. I have to go into Revelation, the 18th chapter. There's nothing you can do. We can't. This is a spirit we got to be in. The boldness of Peter and John. We cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. Who the hell are you to tell me not to teach in the name of Yahushua, man? You think I'm going to listen to man over the Most High? No. So the apostles, they were bringing people to Yahushua. The Pharisees, they said, if we let this man alone, all men will believe in him. So they had that damn Hillary Clinton spirit, man. We'll lose total control. That's how you know what we're doing is of the Most High. Because everything's repeating itself. Verbatim, word for word. Right here it is. This is John 11:47. Then gathered the chief priest and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. We can't have all men believe on him. We need them to believe on us. We need to keep them the twofold child of hell. We need to get that money off of them. We need them in the gates of hell and death. We lose total control. That's what they were saying. That's what this damn demonic woman is saying in this clip right here, man. Right? Let's play it one more time.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
We lose total control, right? You heard it straight up and down. And we know exactly what she means when she says we, and we know exactly what she means when she says total control, right? We know exactly what that means through the spirit, man. Right? I'm going to hold that. Oh, I had this too because, which we went into before, they recently, the United States, named Antifa a domestic terrorist group. They called them a domestic terrorist organization, Antifa. So they're beginning to put people into this category, right? They did it with Antifa. They already put the Israelites on the SPLC. That's just under the hate crime, hate watch, Southern Poverty Law Center, extremist organization. Right? Brothers know about the SPLC. Let's pull that back up. Right? Southern Poverty Law Center. I have been on this site in a minute. Right? Hate Watch. Let's see. Southern Poverty Law Center. Let's see. They used to have a hate map. Oh, here it is. Damn hate map. Right? The hate map should be the whole United States and the state of Israel and all of Europe. So these are the different anti-government and hate groups, right? For brothers that never seen it. And it's not just Israelite groups. They got all these groups, man. But the main focus are the Israelites, right? So they got anti-government, general conspiracy propagandas, etc. Some of these you'll see Israelites, right? But it looks like they kind of switched it up a little bit because I don't remember it looking like this, a year or two ago. Right? Let's see. Let's go to Maryland. They used to have, let's see, Moms for Liberty. Yeah, they had Watching for Israel, just general hate. And they have other congregations up there, right? So that's general hate right there. Right? Moms for Liberty, whatever that is, American Free Press, Watching for Israel, general hate. So brothers they may be watching this live right now, man. Well, who gives a damn? The Most High is watching you, man. I have to tell somebody that. So why are all these Edomites watching us? I said the Most High is watching them. I'm not worried about no damn Edomite watching me, man. Right? This word gonna go out. Whether they like it or not, man. Nobody gives a damn. We don't got nothing to lose. We don't got nothing to lose, man. What do we have here, man? Scripture says, strive for the truth until death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Let me get that, man. Oh, brother, what if they put the name of our camp and on the SPLC? What do I do? What if they tell my job? Right? What if my mom finds out? Yeah, a lot of brothers stay scared, man. Right? And they didn't count the cost. They thought this truth was just to get a wife, be famous on YouTube, make money, make music, just put some lamb on the grill, try some of that Hebrew wine, put them things, them little tassels, just in their mind, them little tassels on the bottom of your shirt because it looked cool. They like the fashion. Some people are in this thing for the wrong reason. They just want to see the boot licking. Us getting on the so-called black woman. Entertainment. Some people watch for entertainment to get a laugh. One brother said this is the greatest TV show on earth. Literally. This is the greatest TV show ever. Oh, I missed that episode. This ain't no damn episode, man. This ain't season 2. This is real life, man. These are matters of life and death. Let a brother come up there and tell me what's going to happen on the next episode. The Lord says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. That's the standard, man. That's the expectation that Yahushua gave us. You strive for the truth, even if you have to give your life for this truth. Right? So they said here's another quick clip. Fox News, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you see this devil pushing for a social media ban for American youth. Warren's podcasts are causing people to oppose the war with Iran and think our government is controlled by Israel. You see that? You see that? Now, the scapegoat is the American youth. It's really all the American. They want to ban social media. It's too much truth coming out. People making podcasts and going into this source and pulling up this, and it's so much people. I mean, so much information that people are putting out there. Like we read in John 11, they just want to stop it. They said, look, man, enough is enough, man. We can't keep allowing these Israelites to put the word out there on such a high level. They're beginning to understand and know that our government is controlled by Israel. People are waking up to, like I said, Edomites are doing TikToks saying we need to stop paying taxes. Why am I living? The government doesn't love us. We're not saying that. We're prophesying the end of this world. We don't give a damn about our relationship to the government because we're not of this place. The Lord said in Micah 2:10, arise and depart, for this is not your rest. But these Edomites, man, they got an emotional attachment to this place. And they feel like they've been betrayed. And they're going to start doing what the British or what the Americans did to the British. And they're going to start looting and rioting. It's going to be a civil war, race wars, class wars. You know, that stuff was over money, man. Their whole Revolutionary War was about money. Who going to control the money? The bank in England or the so-called white man in America? You start playing with people's money, they start rioting, man. We read that in the Monday Night Fire in 1 Kings, the 12th chapter. Right? And then you got this devil. He's building his triumphal arch or ark. You see that? This is what he wants to build. One nation under God. You know, the first thing that came to mind when I saw this was 70 AD. I had what's they call flashbacks of 70 AD. As they push all these laws of hate speech and all these laws to ban the word of the Lord and to persecute us, he wants to build another ark. Just like the Ark of Titus. Man, that's what this reminded me of. Right? So these devils are proud, man. For brothers that don't know about the Ark of Titus, it was built by the so-called white man to celebrate his destruction over our fathers and what they call the Roman Jewish wars. He built this ark. Right? And inside of it, you have these reliefs. That's what this is called, the style of artwork that shows the so-called Romans robbing and taking the menorah and all our holy vessels. So this is mockery. Trump wants to build an arch or ark, which is like a portal, like a damn idolatrous work that commemorates the destruction of the so-called black man. As the Israelites, really, as he persecutes the Israelites. You can't tell me this ain't wrong. You can't tell me this ain't wrong, man. Let me get that in Daniel 9. Right? Let me get that. This is Daniel 9 and verse number 26. Right? Daniel 9 and 26. And after 62 weeks, that's 434 years, right? Each week is really not a week. It's not 7 days, right? It's 7 years. When you break this down, we may do a breakdown on this entire chapter another time, but this is the 62 weeks, right? Which is really, 62 times 7. That's your 434 years, which is the time from the walls being built to the time that Messiah, Yahushua, was cut off. So after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. He died for the Israelites. And the people of the prince, that's the Roman Empire. Here's the part that I want. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood, and unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. So the Roman Empire came and destroyed the city and the temple with a flood of a Roman army. And they spoiled and took everything, right? And they built the Ark of Titus. So this is not a coincidence, man. And again, it shows the robbery that the Israelites went through. That's why you have, where is it at? I just had it. Where's that Ark of Titus? He wants to build this all over again. So as he destroys and comes against a servant to the Lord, he wants to commemorate this ark all over again. One nation under God. So everything's returning back to that ancient Roman time. They're ramping up them laws against the Jews. In Acts the 18th chapter, they expelled all of the Jews out of Italy because the word was having such an effect out there in Rome that the Emperor Claudius, he banned all of the Jews from Rome, right? Let's get that in Acts 18. They said, you can't teach this truth out here anymore, right? Acts 18:1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome and came unto them. And when you go into this, there were certain legislation put together by the Roman emperor to kick the Jews out of Rome because it was the spread of the truth that was prevalent in Rome, right? And it was causing so much hell in Rome. They said, no more teaching the words of the Lord. All of the Jews got to depart from Rome, straight up and down. They got exiled out of Rome. That's same exact spirit, right? So this is that same spirit of ancient Rome, right? That exact same spirit. This is from MiddleEastEye.com. April 13th, right? French lawmakers set to push bill criminalizing speech on Israel. So we see what's going on, right? We see what's going on. If you say anything about Netanyahu, right? If you say he's a Polish descent, he's an Edomite, he's not a real Jew, right? That's Amalek in the Bible, you will be criminalized. You'll be locked up. Your social media get banned. And you know, they might start confiscating stuff, man. Taking stuff from you. Let you be an Israelite in France and you start talking reckless about the so-called Jew. You're going to jail. Go ahead and read Revelation 2:9. On the highways and byways. Read Revelation 3:9. Deuteronomy 25:17. Ezekiel 7:21. Ezekiel 36:5 on down. Numbers, the 24th chapter, 20 on down. Exodus, the 17th chapter, 14 on down. Revelation, all these precepts, man. You're going to jail in France. It's going to spread all throughout Western Europe. And if you say something against the so-called Jew, you ain't going to be able to shop. They're going to cut your phone off, cut your digital ID off. You're going to be caught out there. You know, and they might put you in a damn reformatory school. You know, till you get your mind right and inject you with all types of stuff. So check this out. This April 13th, a sweeping bill advancing through France's parliament is set to criminalize wide areas of speech on Israel with penalties of up to 5 years in prison. You see that? 5. Who's still going to go out there and push the word? Well, we're going to get locked up. We could do 5 years. Maybe we shouldn't go out there anymore. Where's that at in the scriptures? They beat the apostles. The apostle was in the temple right afterwards. 5 years. So they always pass these bills. They do a lot in Europe. They push it out there, and it goes to England, and it spreads to Spain and Greece, and it goes to Germany. Then it comes to the far west. It comes to America. Because this is all the same beast. The Lord said in the Revelation that they have agreed to give their mind into the beast. Let me get that. This is Revelation chapter 17 and verse number 17. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. So there's going to be a period of time where the Most High is going to put into the minds of NATO and the EU to be on the same page, same wavelength. And they are when it comes to establishing a new world order, when it comes to anti-Semitism, right? They're agreeing. They're all pushing out laws. I showed you laws in America, and you see these same laws in France, same laws in Germany. These are going to be worldwide laws. You know, and you get brothers are going to be caught out there. And this is going to be a true test of brothers' faith, right? Are you going to keep pushing this truth? Or are you going to stop talking about the so-called Jew? What are you going to do? Right now, they said they signed the petition to block this, but this thing is going to happen, right? Look at this. Nearly 700,000 people, wow, have signed the petition calling for the law to be blocked and protest across the country over a bill many says threatens free speech. The proposal was spearheaded by French MP Caroline Yadin, a leading figure among lawmakers who openly describe themselves as unconditional supporters of Israel. And she getting paid off too. She getting a bag. She's getting the bag from the so-called Jew. And he said, put that law out there. I don't want them saying not a damn thing about us. We're going to murder, kill, rob. And they just want to be evil without correction. That's how Cain was. You couldn't tell Cain a damn thing. He was wroth. And he couldn't do nothing to the Most High, but he did it to Abel. He did it to man. Right? Let's get that in Genesis, the 4th chapter. Genesis chapter 4 and verse number 5. But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? I mean, what the hell are you mad about? You went off. You went the hell off, man. Fix your damn face. And repent and get your mind right. See, Cain, he couldn't check the Lord. But now this is man. Man is getting on Cain now. And Cain he's still wroth. Every time you correct Cain, which is the modern so-called white man, you check him for his sins. You tell him he's the devil. He's committed genocide. He's murdering people. He's not a real Jew. All his offerings of war and destruction that you get on, and he get wroth about those things. He's pissed. And Cain couldn't do nothing to the Lord, man, but he got power on the earth right now from Satan to inflict madness and evil upon the sons of God. He is wroth when you correct him, right? And he's also terrified. This is Isaiah, the 19th chapter. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 16. And that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. So Egypt in this chapter is a metaphor for America. And they're likened to women, meaning they're defenseless. They're scared, weak. Because the Lord has the prophets and the apostles and the evangelists shaking the hand, going into the precepts, breaking it down, confounding top Edomite scholars, top Edomite doctors, top Edomite theologians. And they've sent everybody against the servant of the Lord, and everybody has failed. So they're fearful. And the land of Judah shall be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because of the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. So the Judites are, or really all the Israelites, that's why it's called the land of Judah. It's really a metaphor for the elect. They're a terror unto Egypt. That's what they call this, domestic terrorists, extremists, people of subversive tactics. Every video, they're terrified. They are scared to death when they see us prophesy, teach, speak wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. When they see brothers repent, come to the knowledge of the Lord. They see the different camps. They see the work that's going on. Brothers traveling around the world, prophesying, live streams, the debates, the casting away of idols. They're terrified. They're scared to death. You got some Edomites damn near saying, I'll bow down already. You gonna, hey, look, you could do that. I ain't gonna save you. You know, we want blood. Now, me saying that we want blood, they gonna record that and use it as a witness against us. But the Most High is with us, but we don't care what these devils do. We want blood. Well, brother, maybe you shouldn't say that. We want blood. Bro. The Most High want blood. The Lord said he want blood, man. Let me get that in Joel, the 3rd chapter. Right? This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 21. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion. So the Lord's going to destroy them, huh? And all of our innocent blood that was shed, the Most High is going to avenge us. So they're putting these laws into play, right? Where they want to stop the word from coming out. I mean, damn, a bill to criminalize speech on Israel. Right? Check that out, man. Coming to a city near you. Right? Coming to a city near you. We talked about that. Right? Let's see. Talked about that. Oh, here was another one. Check this out. Ukraine has made anti-Semitism a criminal offense with penalties including fines or prison sentences of up to 8 years. So you know what's coming to America. Don't matter if you're in Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, Oregon, Washington, Montana. Don't matter where the hell you are. The days are coming where if you speak against the so-called Jew and you speak against this society, you will face prison time. It's in Ukraine. It's in England. It's in France. It's coming to America. 8 years. And they're going to say that the Bible and these precepts are essentially paraphernalia, for lack of better terms, that is used to push anti-Semitism. That's what they're saying, right? Because they're terrified that the elect are waking up. That's what we read in Isaiah. Let's read that in Job 15, right? This is Job chapter 15 and verse number 20. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor. So the wicked, you know, outwardly they may be prospering, outwardly they may be doing well, but really they know that their time is coming to an end. They know their time is short. Tell you that in Revelation, the 12th chapter, right? It says a dreadful sound is in his ears, and prosperity, the destroyer shall come upon him. So what's the dreadful sound in the ears of the so-called white man? These lives, the breakdowns, the camps, the teaching, right? That's going out on the highways and byways, the YouTube videos, the TikToks, the social media. He can't stand this. They be punching their TV, man, throwing their laptop. Every day it's a video dropping about the Israelites. I don't care if you think about all of the caps, you know, even despite the doctrinal differences, some are worse than others. But despite the doctrinal differences, it's still videos going out every day. Every day. Some Israelite is dropping a video. Whether it's in GMS or IUIC or ISUPK or HOI or SOT or WFI or whatever. Every day somebody dropping a video. So they can't stop this thing. There's nothing that they can do. But this word is dreadful unto them. Let me get that in Amos, the 7th chapter. They told Amos that the land is not able to bear your words. Man, we can't handle this. We can't deal with this. He said, "O thou seer, go to Judah and there eat bread." Right? This Amos 7 and 10. This after Amos prophesied the destruction of the city. Then Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, "Amos hath conspired against thee in the midst of the house of Israel. The land is not able to bear all his words." So they say he's in a conspiracy, sedition, treason. He's a terrorist. Did Amos conspire, or did the Most High send Amos? See how these devils get, man? Oh, Amos conspired against you. This is not a matter between, you think Amos has some ought against the king? You think he had a personal vendetta against King Jeroboam? No. The Most High put the spirit on Amos to go out there and do the work. And Amos was out there shaking their hands so heavy that people were terrified. They were scared. I don't want to hear that no more. They said the land is not able to bear all his words. And that's what's going on in America. They cannot handle this truth. I'm surprised we know it's the will of the Most High, but, you know, should have been shut this down. But the elect got to get sealed. So these devils know how influential and impactful this ministry is. And it's a dreadful sound to every one of them. Huh? It's a dreadful sound to all these so-called white men. Right? Where's that Ukraine law again? It is madness. Ukraine has made anti-Semitism a criminal offense with penalties including fines or prison sentences of up to 8 years. Right? Now, we played this clip before. I'm going to play it again. Right? Check this clip out of them threatening. Right? Like I said, we played this maybe a few months ago, but I'm going to play it again. It says, anyone who criticizes Israel is our enemy. We will watch you through Google. We will expose your weakness. We will get you fired from your job. And if you own a business, we will bankrupt you. So check this out. Salakia. All this is fair use.
Target Jewish students, your actions will not disappear into the darkness. We will shine a light on you that, thanks to Google and SEO, will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented. Again, thanks to Google and SEO. In corporations where DEI leaders smeared Israel, excused Hamas, we pressured CEOs. Some resigned.
They pressuring CEOs. They linking up with jobs, right? Workday and all these jobs. And do you have this guy working at your job? His ID is linked to this social media. He's anti-Semitic. He can't work there anymore. Oh, this is his bank account. He's tied to this bank, Citibank or Bank of America. He's not going to be able to get his money out.
Many were terminated, but policies were changed, thankfully, from governmental to art institutions. Online, where anonymous accounts spread violent threats, we traced patterns, elevated evidence, and worked with authorities, leading to arrests from Florida.
Hold on, you heard that. Let me go back a little bit. Let me go back, Salakia.
Policies were changed, thankfully.
Policies were changed. And that's what we read in Daniel 8 about him and his policies.
From governmental to art institutions. Online, where anonymous accounts.
So they said online were anonymous accounts. That's why they put that law that I showed earlier, the age verification law. They want to eliminate, it's like any anonymous count, any what they call anonymity, whatever. So no longer on social media can you just be this random person. When you're on social media, it's going to be tied to your bank account. It's going to be tied to your job. It's going to be tied to your social security. It's going to be tied to your ID. It's going to be tied to all of that. And you get cut out of one, they ban your social media, they're going to cut you out of everything. Right? They'll delete your social media, right? Bar you from your bank account, get you fired from your job. You know, you can only drive this far. You can't leave your city, your 15-minute city. You got a bad social credit score. You an you an anti-Semitic, man. If you ain't in prison, you ain't gonna prosper. You ain't gonna make it. And ultimately, they're gonna put us to death. These are gonna be crimes up until death. See that in Revelation chapter 20 and 4. So, Salak, I'm gonna rewind it a little bit more.
Policies were changed, thankfully, from governmental to art institutions. Online, where anonymous accounts spread violent threats, we traced patterns, elevated evidence, and worked with authorities, leading to arrests from Florida, South Carolina, New York, California, and Texas.
So you see that they arresting people. Florida, South Carolina, New York, Cali, Texas. Working with authorities, working with jobs, working with the media, putting a spotlight on you, deleting your accounts, taking money out your bank account. You know? Getting your damn car towed, man. Repoed. Getting your house foreclosed. If you paying the mortgage on the house to the bank and they say, look, you can't, hey, they'll cut you out, man. You ain't going to be able to live. Your bank, hey, we're no longer dealing with you. Your mortgage payments, this, that, and the third, it's over.
And we're not slowing down, sadly. Today, Stop Anti-Semitism, I'm proud to say, runs one of the most robust anti-Semitic enforcement operations in the United States, monitoring campuses, digital networks, activist groups, and public officials.
See, so they watching everybody. Campuses, schools, YouTube.
Documenting incidents in real time and mobilizing millions of people, of allies that are quietly by our side. But the fight is bigger than the exposure, and it's about securing a future where Jewish students can walk across the quad without being screamed at, a future where employers understand that anti-Semitism is not activism.
See, employers are going to be these corporations are going to be trained to eliminate anybody that's anti-Semitic. When they run, when you get a job, you fill out your I-9 or all your paperwork and, your information and your tax, they'll run that. And if it's linked up to you being an anti-Semitic based off of your social media, who you are, you ain't getting that job. With this AI stuff, man, you apply for that job, you're going to get an instant denial. Right? Because again, all operating systems are going to be a link to who you are. So you get online, you try to buy something online, Amazon, you ain't going to be able to buy that because your operating system is going to be linked to your understanding, based off of who you are. That's why they put that age verification for all operating systems, phones, tablets, iPads, Apple Watches. You try to go on Amazon, you ain't gonna be able to go on Amazon, right? You try to buy this, you ain't gonna be able to buy that. Right? Try to get this job, you ain't gonna be able to get that job. Try to go on TikTok, ain't no TikTok for you. They done already went through all your accounts. No, you're one of them. Then they're gonna say, matter of fact, we coming after you, rather by means of a false flag or some operation or some psyop. They're gonna come after the servant of the Lord. So there's terror amongst them. They're terrified.
It's bigotry, and it will cause you to lose your job, quad, without being screamed at. A future where employers understand that.
Think about your job, man. You might get pulled in. They might say, look, we need you in HR. You got the HR person and your supervisor there. And they got their TV monitor. You know, HR always sit behind that desk and they turn that monitor around and they say, is this your profile? Did you make this post? Because this is the part they're going to be trained on this. Is that your YouTube account? Now, before, because they did that to me at the plantation. Right? The previous plantation I was at, they did that, man. Yeah, we saw the videos. You know, they said what they said. Hey, I said what I said. You know, I said what I had to say, and it was nothing they could do about it. You know, I told them what I had to tell them. They was, you know, they got mad. They put their head down, but I said what I had to say. You know, and the Most High was with me. So I've been through that at a few plantations. But now it's at the point where what you do outside of work, it used to be independent of your work, but now the Most High got a spirit on the earth where none of that matters anymore. What you do outside of work is going to directly affect your ability to receive employment. Right? Now, if you part of this system and you don't, you know, and they run you, your algorithms and who you are, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. But if you're a man of the Lord, you're going to be caught out there.
That anti-Semitism is not active. A future where employers understand that anti-Semitism is not activism. It's bigotry, and it will cause you to lose your job.
And it will cause you to lose your job. Let's go to the book of, let me get a quick precept, right? Let's go to the book of John real quick, man, because this is all biblical prophecy. Right? Let's go to John. I want 15 and 20. Right? Yahushua said these things will happen, man. I'm going to start at 18. John 15 and 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. See, then the Lord hate that. It's like the people of the world hated Yahushua, and they're going to hate us. If ye were of the world will love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. And it's beautiful to be hated, man. All praises to Yahweh Bashmi Abashai that we're not loved of the world. You don't want to be loved of the world. Everything of the world is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. It's not of the Father, but of the world. That's 1 John 2 and 15 on down. We don't mind being hated. We don't mind that, man. We actually love it. Remember when the apostles got beat up, they got up and they was rejoicing that they were worthy to get beat up. This Acts 5 and 40. And to him they agreed. And when they had called the apostles and beaten them, they commanded that they should not speak in the name of Yahushua and let them go. So they beat the apostles, stumped them, probably knocked their teeth out, black eyes, probably broke a leg, a finger. And they said, you bet not teach in the name of Yahushua. That's how serious this thing is getting. You might get beat, arrested, and commanded. If I see you at camp again, there's going to be a problem. You bet not go out there and teach on the highways and byways. What did the apostles do? And they departed from the presence of the council, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer shame for his name. And daily in the temple and in every house, they ceased not to teach and preach Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. They was in the spirit. Did they listen to the order of the wicked scribes and elders and Sadducees and Pharisees? No. Every day they was putting a brick in, putting that work in, and they never stopped teaching and they never stopped preaching Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. And they got beat up. And they got up with a black eye and they was happy, man. Because they knew that it was a beautiful thing for them to go through somewhat of what the Lord went through. And that's the spirit you got to be in, right? You got to be in that spirit. John 15 and verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. And they're going to keep our saying. They're going to keep our words, our videos, our sayings online, our sayings on social media, our sayings at our job, your sayings on Telegram, group chats, WhatsApp. They're going to keep your sayings. They did it to Yahweh Shah. They said, this man said that he would destroy the temple and in 3 days raise it up. This man said this. This man said that. He said that he's the king. They kept all of the sayings of Yahweh Shah and they tried to manipulate it and use it against him. So what do you think they're going to do to us? A lot of brothers are wondering, what are they going to do to us? You know what the answer is? The same thing they did to Yahweh Shah. Nothing different. There's no great big mystery with what's going to happen. Go back and read the Gospels and see what's going to happen. You already got the answers. Read Matthew, read Mark, read Luke, read John, read Acts. You don't have to get some crystal ball and wander and dream. Read what they did to Yahweh Shah. They kept his sayings. They're going to keep ours. They persecuted him. They're going to persecute us. Let's read this again, John 15 and 20. Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. You see that? They don't know the Most High. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not sinned. But now they have no cloak for their sin. And they don't have a cloak because we told them the truth. We done pushed the word out there. We done did the videos. We done shook the hand. And they got no excuse. He that hateth me, it's like he that hateth me, hateth my Father also. Right? And this is a beautiful chapter. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not had sin. But now have both seen and hated both me and my Father. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law, they hated me without a cause. And they hate us without a cause, man. All we doing is the work of the Lord. It ain't my fault the Most High made a promise to Abraham. I don't got nothing to do with the Most High making a promise to Isaac and Jacob. Right? That's the Most High's promise. We're just the offspring. We're just the children. We're the children of the promise. What did we physically do to the so-called white man that he didn't do to himself? Let me clarify. Well, Jacob was sneaky and Jacob was a trickster. No, you lost your damn birthright, man. You gave it up. No, he took the birthright and Jacob shouldn't have did that and Jacob should have fasted and Jacob should have took his L. Jacob don't take no L's, man. We needed that birthright. Run that. We need that, you know. Immortality, everlasting life, the kingdom of heaven, crowns. Run that, Esau. Oh, you faint? Oh, you hungry? Right? Oh, this smell good, don't it? Yeah, I'm just adding my seasoning. Hey, I seen this video of so-called white people trying black people food for the first time. They was losing their mind, man. That's how Esau was eating. Jacob was seasoning. He was stirring that up, bringing the food, you know. Let somebody have a birthright, man, to the Lord. You think I ain't going to look? And Esau mad about that. So what, man? You got played, man. It's the will of the Most High. It is what it is. If you a so-called white man watching this, so what? You want us to say Salakia? We need that birthright, man. Give me that. If I was there, I'd help Jacob. Put you in a full Nelson, man. You know? Well, then they might say, well, what about the blessing? Well, the Genesis, the blessing, look, you better take that up with the Most High. He put that on Rebecca's spirit. And so what, man? You should have been quicker getting that venison. If you was a little bit quicker, you would have been there. You missed out. Yeah, I'm talking to you so-called white people. You missed out. If you was a tad bit quicker, just a little bit quicker, you would have been there. You missed out. It's over with. So you don't got no right to hate us, man. We ain't do nothing to you. We ain't do a damn thing to you. Let me read this again. John 15-25. And I know you so-called white man, you Edomites, you spies, you agents watching in. I know you mad. So what, man? John 15-25. But this cometh to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without a cause. Right? And here's their anti-Semitism trick. Right? They hated me without a cause. Here's their quote. Former Israeli Minister of Education, Shulamit Alani. Right? Here's what she said. She said, well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe, somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in the country, the United States, people are criticizing Israel, they are anti-Semitic. It's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitic and bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people, and that is to justify everything we do to the Palestinians. She said that. Let the record show. It is a scam. Anything anti-Semitic, it is a scam, right? They set that up to overthrow you, right? To overthrow you, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai. Right? Let's go to Acts 5. Right? This is the book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse number 39. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found even to fight against God. So you can't overthrow this truth. There's no counsel. There's no law. It don't matter. This word is still going to go out. Yahweh Shah said, even if these children hold their peace, the stone's going to cry out. This word is having free course. The elect are getting sealed. 144,000 almost sealed. This society's going down. There's nothing a so-called white man could do to stop the word of the Most High. Straight up, man. So that's why, again, Yahweh Shah said this. Matthew chapter 16 and verse number 18. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. We went into the laws, legislation, councils, conspiracies from the gates of hell, which is the wicked leadership of this world, the leaders of death and confusion, the powers that be. They are the gates of hell that are looking to prevail against this truth. But we just read it in Acts 5. If it be the Most High, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found to fight against the Most High, paraphrase. So with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Kwamalak Yabashai. Most High willing you was edified. Keep the Sabbath day holy. Stay clean. Stay pure. No buying. No selling. no confusion, no wickedness, no speaking your own words, doing your own pleasures, no sex on the Sabbath. Keep this day holy and reverence and serve Yahweh Ba'ashim Mashiach Wamalak Bashad. Again, Most High willing you are edified, stay in the spirit. There's nothing they could do against this truth. Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.